Welcome to Elder Zen. Hit subscribe for simple health tips made just for seniors. Stay tuned. Your next great day starts here. Let me ask you something that might surprise you. Have you ever started a new health routine? Maybe morning stretches, gentle yoga, or a group flexibility class, feeling so proud to be taking positive steps for your body? Did you feel that little burst of hope, thinking, this is it? This is how I'll stay healthy, flexible, and independent for years to come. If so, you're not alone. For millions of older adults, discovering yoga and stretching is like opening the door to a new world of energy, balance, and self-confidence. But here's a question most of us never think to ask. What if those very habits, those good intentions, could sometimes backfire? What if, instead of helping, certain movements, positions, or even a little too much enthusiasm could actually increase your risk of a serious health emergency, like a pulmonary embolism, or PEI for short? Now, don't get me wrong, gentle movement is one of the best gifts you can give your body as you age. Stretching, yoga, and flexibility routines are proven to boost circulation, ease stiff joints, and even improve mood. Countless studies show that people who keep moving, no matter their age, have stronger hearts, healthier muscles, and a better quality of life. So you might be wondering, how can something so good ever be dangerous? That's exactly what we're here to explore today. Because, like so many things in life, it's all about how you do it, what you watch for, and how you listen to your body's warning signs. Imagine this. It's early morning, and you roll out your mat with the best of intentions. You gently twist, hold a stretch, or maybe even push yourself a little further than usual, just trying to feel that satisfying good stretch. Maybe your instructor or a YouTube video encourages you to breathe deeply and hold, to go a little deeper, or to embrace the discomfort. You think if it hurts a little, it must be working, right? But deep inside, your body, especially if you've had recent surgery, a long trip, or periods of less activity, things might not be as simple as they seem. You see, as we get older, our bodies carry a bit more baggage, hidden risks from slower circulation, stiffer veins, or even old injuries. Sometimes, a seemingly harmless stretch or yoga pose can put unexpected pressure on veins in the legs, especially if held for too long or performed with poor technique. This can slow down blood flow, create tiny injuries to the vessel walls, or even squeeze an existing blood clot that you didn't know was there. In rare but real cases, that clot can break loose, travel through the bloodstream, and get stuck in the lungs, a life-threatening event known as a pulmonary embolism. And here's the real challenge. Most of us, especially those over 60, don't realize we're at risk. Maybe you've had a hip or knee replaced, spent a week or two less active than usual. Or you're taking medication that changes how your blood clots. You might not even connect the dots when you feel a little swelling in your calf or a twinge of pain after a long session on the mat. We're so used to thinking of yoga and stretching as safe for everyone that we rarely pause to consider, could I be making a hidden mistake? It's important to remember that movement is still medicine, but like any medicine, the dose and the method matter. That's why, in this video, we're pulling back the curtain on some of the most common yoga and stretching mistakes that can actually raise your risk of PEI. We'll break down the science in plain English, share warning signs to watch for, and most importantly, show you how to keep moving safely so you can enjoy all the benefits of flexibility without unnecessary risks. You'll hear stories from real people, just like you, who learned important lessons the hard way. We'll talk about when it's time to pause, how to modify poses to protect your veins, and simple daily habits that keep your blood flowing the right way. Because your safety, your independence, and your ability to keep doing what you love, that's what really matters. So whether you're a lifelong yogi, a stretching newbie, or simply someone curious about staying safe and strong as you age, this conversation is for you. Grab your favorite chair, get comfortable, and let's explore together how good habits can go wrong and how the right approach can keep you thriving, confident and empowered at any age. Ready? Let's begin this journey of movement, mindfulness, and self-protection, because knowledge is the first and best step on your path to lasting health. As we move deeper into this important conversation, let's take a closer look at why something as gentle as yoga or stretching can, in rare cases, set the stage for trouble, especially for those of us navigating the changes that come with age. It's so easy to see yoga and stretching as universal good, something with no downside, just gentle movements and deep breathing. But like so many things in life, the benefits come with a few caveats. First, it's important to know that most people can practice yoga and stretching safely, and for most, the benefits far outweigh the risks. The key is understanding your own body and listening to what it's telling you, especially if you've had recent health changes, surgeries, or periods of immobility. But let's talk about how things can go sideways, even when your intentions are good. Consider the story of Linda, a 68-year-old retired librarian from Ohio. After knee replacement surgery, Linda was eager to get back on her feet, and she'd always heard that stretching would help her recover faster. One morning, just a few weeks after her operation, Linda joined an online senior yoga class. She loved the gentle pace and the sense of community. But when the instructor encouraged everyone to hold a deep forward bend for several minutes, Linda felt a dull ache in her calf. She shrugged it off, thinking it was just her muscles waking up. What she didn't know was that she had developed a small blood clot during her recovery. A clot that, with the pressure of the stretch, could have dislodged and traveled to her lungs, causing a pulmonary embolism. Linda was lucky she mentioned the ache to her doctor during a follow-up appointment, and a quick ultrasound caught the clot before it could do harm. Her doctor explained that while movement is essential, certain stretches or prolonged positions, especially those that put pressure on the backs of the knees or keep the legs still for long periods, can sometimes slow down blood flow and make clots more likely to form or move. But Linda's story isn't meant to scare you away from yoga or stretching. It's a reminder to be curious about your own body and honest about your health history. For example, if you've recently been on bed rest, had surgery, or spent long periods sitting, maybe after a long car ride or flight, you're already at higher risk for developing clots in the legs, known as deep vein thrombosis (DVT. Adding deep, prolonged stretches without gentle warm-up or moving into positions that put too much strain on the veins can make things riskier. What are the specific mistakes to watch for? One common pitfall is holding stretches for too long, especially in poses that compress the back of the knees or thighs. Another is overdoing twists or deep hip stretches without adequate warm-up, which can put unexpected pressure on vulnerable veins. Sometimes, using resistance bands or weights with stretches can add even more risk if not done mindfully. And here's a mistake many don't realize: locking the knees or holding the legs completely still while stretching, especially in the seated or lying down positions. This reduces the muscle pump action that helps move blood back to the heart, letting blood pool in the lower legs. For those already at risk, older adults, those on certain medications, or anyone with a history of clotting disorders, these subtle missteps can tip the balance. It's also important to remember that pain is not always progress. If you feel pain, throbbing, swelling, or a strange warmth in one leg after stretching, it's your body's way of waving a red flag. That's the moment to pause. Check in with your healthcare provider and avoid the temptation to push through. Let's also talk about group classes or following online routines. While they can be incredibly motivating and fun, instructors may not always be aware of your unique medical history or risk factors. That's why it's so important to speak up, modify poses, and when in doubt, choose gentler alternatives. To recap, yoga and stretching should always be tailored to you, your abilities, and your health background. Before you join that next class, or try that new stretch you saw online, take a moment to check in with your doctor, especially if you've had recent surgery, a long period of inactivity, or any history of blood clots. If you're ever unsure, err on the side of caution. Your safety and confidence are worth it. Up next, we'll dive deeper into practical strategies, how to modify your movement routine, protect your veins, and keep all the benefits of yoga and stretching with none of the hidden risks. And as always, we'll keep it real, approachable, and grounded in the stories and wisdom of people just like you. Stay tuned. And let's keep building a safe, strong, and joyful routine together. Now that we've explored how good intentions can sometimes backfire, let's shift our focus to practical ways you can make your movement routine safe, rewarding, and truly protective for your health. Because, after all, yoga and stretching were never meant to be a source of fear or anxiety. They should uplift you, restore your confidence, and help you enjoy every stage of life with more freedom and less pain. But what does safe stretching look like, especially for those with a history of illness, recent surgery, or anyone who's spent extra time resting due to age or medical conditions? Let's start with the basics. Gentle movement and consistency are your best friends. The secret isn't in going deep or pushing through the discomfort, but in being present, aware, and responsive to the signals your body gives you every day. Let's take the example of Bill, a 74-year-old from Wisconsin who discovered the power of mindful movement after his own health scare. Bill always prided himself on being active, and after his retirement, he joined a local senior yoga group to keep up with friends. But when he tried to impress the class with a deep stretch he'd seen on YouTube, Bill felt a strange pull-in. His thigh? Later, he noticed his leg was sore and slightly swollen. Thanks to a prompt visit to his doctor, Bill learned that pushing too hard, especially after weeks of little activity, had triggered a small clot in his leg. Bill's story is a wake-up call for all of us. It's a reminder that more is not always better, and that our bodies thrive on gentle progress, not sudden leaps. So how do you keep your routine both enjoyable and safe? First, always start with a warm-up. Even if you're just moving from your living room chair, take a few minutes to gently rotate your ankles, flex your feet, and wake up your muscles before any stretching. This simple step helps your blood flow and reduces the risk of clots forming. In idle muscles. Next, remember that duration matters just as much as intensity. Avoid holding any one position, especially with knees or hips bent for more than 20 or 30 seconds at a time. Instead, shift your weight, stretch gently, then release, and repeat. This approach keeps circulation steady and gives your body a chance to signal if anything feels off. Another tip is to alternate stretching with short walks or even marching in place. The combination of movement and gentle stretching is powerful for preventing blood pooling, especially in the lower legs. Don't underestimate the value of small, consistent movement. It's just as effective as one big session. If you're joining group classes, communicate openly with your instructor about any recent surgeries, history of blood clots, or health changes. A good instructor will happily suggest modifications and will support you in listening to your own body, not just following the class. If you're exercising at home, consider using videos or apps designed specifically for seniors or people recovering from illness. They often include more guidance on safe pacing. Above all, listen to warning signs. If you ever notice swelling, heat, pain, or redness in one leg, pause your activity and reach out to your healthcare provider right away. Don't let embarrassment or pride keep you from protecting your health. Bill would be the first to say that. A quick call to your doctor is far better than risking a bigger emergency. It's also worth mentioning the importance of hydration and taking regular breaks. Drinking water before and after stretching keeps your blood from thickening, and breaks prevent you from staying in one position too long. To sum up, gentle movement, regular breaks, clear communication, and paying attention to your body's Messages are the cornerstones of a safe and beneficial stretching routine. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and let each session be an act of self-care, not a test of endurance. In our next segment, we'll look at specific stretches and yoga poses that are safest for seniors and explore how you can adapt popular routines to fit your needs perfectly. Plus, you'll hear more stories from real people like Susan from California, who found their stride by honoring their bodies and staying curious about what truly works for them. So don't go anywhere. Your next step toward a stronger, safer, and more joyful movement journey is just ahead. As we continue this journey into safer stretching and mindful movement, let's pause and talk about something absolutely crucial: the warning signs you need to know. Because even the healthiest routines, when done without care or awareness, can sometimes turn risky, especially for older adults or those with a history of health issues. You might wonder, how do I know if my stretching or yoga practice is putting me at risk? That's a question worth exploring, because recognizing red flags early can make all the difference, not just for your safety, but for your confidence and peace of mind. Let's paint a picture together. Imagine you're following along with your favorite online yoga class. The instructor guides everyone into a deep forward bend, and you decide to give it your best shot, holding the position a little longer than usual. Afterwards, you notice a lingering ache in your calf, maybe some swelling that wasn't there before. Perhaps you brush it off, thinking you just stretched a muscle too hard. But then, as hours or even days go by, the discomfort doesn't fade. Maybe it gets worse. Maybe you see a bit of redness or feel heat in your leg. Here's where listening to your body's whispers and knowing what they could mean becomes a true act of self-care. Take the story of Janet, a 69-year-old from Ohio, who started doing daily yoga videos to keep up her flexibility after retiring. Janet loved the routine, but one week, after holding a seated twist longer than usual, she noticed her left leg felt oddly tight. That night, her calf looked a bit puffy, but she figured she'd just pushed herself a little too much. The next day, the swelling was worse and she felt a strange warmth in the area. Thankfully, Janet remembered hearing a friend talk about the warning signs of blood clots, so she didn't wait. She called her doctor, who sent her in for a scan. Sure enough, she had developed a deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. Janet's quick action likely prevented a far more serious emergency. Stories like Janet's remind us, there's no badge of honor for ignoring pain, swelling, or changes in your body. These are your body's messages telling you to pause and pay attention. So, what should you look for? Here are some key warning signs to never ignore: sudden or new swelling in one leg, especially if it's not present in the other. Pain or tenderness that doesn't improve with rest, or gets worse when you flex your foot or walk. Warmth, redness, or discoloration over a specific area compared to the rest of your leg. A feeling of tightness or that your skin is stretched. And most seriously, shortness of breath, chest pain, dizziness, or fainting, which could mean a clot has traveled to your lungs and become a pulmonary embolism. If you ever notice these symptoms, especially after starting a new exercise routine, traveling long distances, or being more sedentary due to illness or surgery, don't wait or self-diagnose. Call your healthcare provider or seek emergency care. It's always better to check and find nothing than to miss a serious issue. Of course, being alert to these signs doesn't mean you should be afraid to move. On the contrary, knowledge is what empowers you to stretch, walk, and practice yoga. With confidence, when you know what's normal for your body, you'll notice when something is off, and you'll have the wisdom to act. In fact, many seniors find that after learning about these red flags, they feel less anxious and more in control. That sense of agency transforms stretching from a source of worry to an act of trust in your own judgment. As we look ahead to our next segment, we'll dive into ways you can personalize your yoga and stretching routines, making them both effective and safe, no matter your age or health history. Plus, you'll hear how people like Tom, a retired firefighter from Texas, adapted his movement habits for lifelong mobility, and how you can too. So, stay with us. The most important moves for your health and independence are yet to come, and you deserve every one of them. Now that we've talked about the warning signs and the importance of listening to your body, let's take things a step further. Because here's the truth. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to movement, stretching, or yoga especially. As we age, and especially for those who may already have health concerns or a history of blood clots, what matters most is making your routine work for you, not the other way around. Let's start by considering your unique needs. Maybe you're someone who feels stiff after sitting for a long time, or perhaps you have a history of joint pain, high blood pressure, or even previous surgery. You might be active and looking for new ways to challenge yourself. Or maybe you're just dipping your toes back into exercise after a break. Wherever you are on your journey, the goal is to find movements that energize you, not exhaust you. Stretches that make you feel good, not worried. Take the story of Robert, a 72-year-old grandfather from Colorado. After his wife encouraged him to join a beginner's yoga class at the community center, Robert was excited but also nervous. He'd heard stories of people pushing through pain or forcing their bodies into positions that just didn't feel right. So he made a promise to himself. He would honor his limits and speak up if something didn't feel good. Early on, when a pose made his leg feel numb, Robert raised his hand, and the instructor showed him a gentler alternative. Week by week, Robert gained flexibility, confidence, and most importantly, trust in his own instincts. It wasn't about keeping up with anyone else, he says. It was about tuning in to what my body needed today, in this moment. So how can you make movement safer and more rewarding for yourself? First, modify when you need to. There is absolutely no shame in using a chair, a pillow, or a wall for balance. Gentle seated stretches can be just as effective as more advanced poses and much safer if you have mobility concerns. If you ever feel pain, tingling, or unusual discomfort, stop immediately and try a smaller motion or a different position. The goal is always comfort, not competition. Second, pace yourself. Rushing into a new routine or holding stretches for too long can backfire. Give yourself time to warm up. Start with simple moves and build gradually. If you feel any swelling or soreness after exercise, use that as feedback, not failure, but information to help you adjust. Third, ask questions. Whether you're working with a yoga teacher, a physical therapist, or just following online videos, don't hesitate to ask about modifications or alternatives. Your health comes first, and any qualified instructor will be happy to help. Another powerful strategy is to combine movement with other healthy habits. For example, make a ritual of drinking a glass of water after each stretching session. This not only keeps you hydrated, which helps prevent blood clots, but also marks your commitment to self-care. You can even invite a friend or neighbor to join you for extra encouragement and accountability. Let's not forget the power of rest and reflection. Build in time for your body to recover after any exercise and pay attention to how you feel. The next day, if you notice any warning signs like swelling, redness, or ongoing pain, pause and check in with your doctor before resuming. Finally, celebrate your progress no matter how small. Every gentle stretch, every deep breath, every conscious choice to listen to your body is a victory. Like Robert from Colorado, you might find that your practice becomes not just about physical health, but about self-respect and joy. As we move into our next segment, we'll explore the surprising ways small adjustments in your daily routine can make a huge difference for your overall well-being, and how sharing your journey might just inspire someone else to take that first important step toward a healthier, safer life. So stay with us, because your story is just beginning and the best is yet to come. As we continue this journey together, it's important to remember that every positive change, no matter how small, has the potential to shape your future health in remarkable ways. It's easy to get overwhelmed by talk of risk and prevention. But the real magic lies in your daily habits, the simple actions you take, almost without thinking, that add up over weeks, months, and years. Let's break this down in a way that feels practical, not overwhelming. Start with movement. You don't have to sign up for an hour-long yoga class or power through endless stretches each morning. Instead, think about your daily routine. Is there a moment while waiting for your coffee to brew when you can do a few gentle calf raises or ankle circles? Could you stand up and walk around during commercial breaks while watching TV? Even brief periods of movement help keep your blood circulating and lower your risk of blood clots. Consider the example of Mary, a 69-year-old retiree from Ohio. Mary used to think that if she couldn't do a full workout, it wasn't worth doing anything at all. But after her doctor explained the importance of moving every hour, Mary started setting a kitchen timer as a gentle reminder. Now, she stands and stretches for a couple of minutes after every phone call or chapter of her book. I thought it would feel like a chore, she admits, but it's become something I look forward to. I feel more alert, and my legs are less tired at the end of the day. Next, let's talk about hydration, another small habit with powerful effects. As we get older, our sense of thirst naturally fades, and it's easy to forget to drink water until we feel parched. But by then, our blood may already be thicker and more prone to clotting. Try keeping a colorful water bottle within arm's reach throughout the day, or pair every meal with a glass of water. These cues make it easier to stay hydrated even on the busiest days. Nutrition matters too. While it's tempting to stick with familiar comfort foods, even minor tweaks can protect your heart and blood vessels. Add a handful of berries to your breakfast, swap white bread for whole grain, or try a leafy green salad a few times a week. Remember, you're not aiming for perfection, just progress, one meal at a time. Let's not forget about rest and recovery. It's just as important to give your body time to restore itself as it is to keep moving. Prioritize good sleep by sticking to a regular bedtime routine and winding down before bed with calming music or gentle stretches. If you notice aches or fatigue after activity, don't be afraid to rest and let your body heal. If you ever feel discouraged or wonder if these small steps are making a difference, think of stories like Mary's. Or consider John, 76-year-old veteran from Texas. After surviving a pulmonary embolism, John was hesitant to get active again, worried he might overdo it. But with his doctor's encouragement, he started with just a few minutes of stretching each morning and short walks with his dog in the afternoon. Over time, John noticed more energy, fewer aches, and a renewed sense of confidence in his daily life. It's not about being perfect or pushing myself too hard, he shares. It's about showing up for myself every day. The takeaway: your journey to better health doesn't need to be dramatic or exhausting. It's about those everyday choices repeated again and again that build strength, resilience, and peace of mind. Whether you're making a meal, walking to the mailbox, or simply remembering to stand and stretch, you are investing in your own well-being. As we prepare for our final segment, let's hold on to this message. Every action counts. Every habit, no matter how small, has the power to keep you safe, active, and independent. And most importantly, you're never alone. There's a whole community of people, just like you, taking small steps every day toward a healthier future. Stay with us for the conclusion, where we'll reflect on your progress and look ahead with hope and determination. Now, as we continue on this journey toward healthier habits, let's pause for a moment to talk about something many of us consider safe, even healing: yoga and stretching. It's easy to think, if I'm moving, I must be protecting myself from blood clots and other health issues. And in most cases, that's absolutely true. Movement is medicine. But as with so many things in life, even the best intentions can sometimes backfire, especially if we're not paying attention to our body signals or if we try to do too much too soon. So what can go wrong when we start or restart a stretching or yoga routine, especially after a health scare like a pulmonary embolism? First, let's address the most common scenario: the urge to make up for lost time. Maybe you've been inactive for weeks after an illness or surgery, and suddenly you're determined to jump right back into those stretches, reaching for your toes and holding poses as if nothing ever happened. But here's where caution is your best friend. Overstretching tight muscles or pushing joints that aren't quite ready can actually trigger more harm than good. Consider the story of Linda, a 66-year-old from Michigan. Linda loved her weekly yoga classes and prided herself on being flexible. But after a bout with pneumonia, she felt weak and stiff. Eager to regain her mobility, she decided to follow an online yoga video for beginners. The class started gently, but halfway through, Linda attempted a deep forward bend she used to do with ease. She felt a sudden cramp in her calf, but brushed it off, thinking she just needed to stretch it out. By evening, her calf was sore and swollen, and she chalked it up to overexertion. 2 days later, Linda developed shortness of breath and had to be rushed to the hospital. A blood clot had formed in her leg and traveled to her lung. This isn't meant to scare you away from movement. It's meant to help you approach your practice with wisdom and self-compassion. The truth is, after long periods of inactivity, our veins and muscles need time to adapt. Stretching aggressively or holding challenging poses can actually compress blood vessels or aggravate small injuries, making clot formation more likely, especially if you already have risk factors like recent surgery, immobility, or a personal or family history of blood clots. So, how can you make stretching and yoga safe, effective, and truly beneficial? Start by listening to your body, really. Listening? Begin with gentle movements, focusing on range of motion rather than depth or duration. If you feel pain, stop. If you notice swelling, redness, or heat in your legs, pause and check in with your doctor before continuing. It's also wise to let your instructor or physical therapist know about your medical history and any concerns you might have. They can help you adapt poses or routines to fit your current level of strength and flexibility. Don't underestimate the power of breath work and mindful movement. Even simple seated stretches, gentle ankle rotations, or diaphragmatic breathing can improve circulation and aid recovery without overstressing your body. If you ever feel unsure, consider working one-on-one with a certified physical therapist or a yoga teacher experienced in post-recovery movement for seniors. They can design a plan that rebuilds confidence while keeping safety at the forefront. To sum up, while yoga and stretching are wonderful tools for healing, mobility, and peace of mind, they must be approached thoughtfully, especially after a period of illness or immobility. Celebrate your progress, honor your limits, and remember that in recovery, slow and steady truly does win the race. As we move into our next segment, we'll discuss strategies for creating a balanced, sustainable activity plan, one that supports your body, mind, and independence for years to come. So stay tuned and keep believing in your ability to adapt, learn, and thrive no matter where you're starting from. Let's continue our journey by exploring how to turn the lessons we've learned into a practical, daily movement plan that's safe, effective, and tailored to you. Because after a health scare like a pulmonary embolism, it's normal to feel both motivated and hesitant at the same time. Maybe you're eager to regain your strength, but you're also worried about doing too much or making a mistake that sets you back. It's important to start by recognizing that every recovery is unique. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, especially for seniors. Your body, your history, and your goals are your own, and your plan should respect that. So, where do you begin? First, let's talk about making movement a regular, joyful part of your day. Even small steps can make a big difference. For example, you might begin by setting a timer to stand up and stretch every 45 minutes. These mini breaks might seem simple, but they keep your blood flowing and your joints from getting stiff. Add a little walking, even if it's just around your home, and you're already making powerful progress. Think of George, a 74-year-old from Ohio. After surviving a pulmonary embolism last year, George was nervous about exercising again. He had always loved gardening, but after his hospitalization, even walking to the backyard seemed daunting. Instead of pushing himself too hard, George worked with his doctor and a physical therapist to develop a gentle routine. He started with light stretching in the morning, short walks in the afternoon, and eventually added back a few minutes tending to his tomato plants. Over time, these moments of movement built his confidence. Now, George's daily walks are a highlight, and his energy has returned not because he rushed, but because he listened to his body and progressed slowly. This is a lesson for all of us. Consistency beats intensity, especially after an illness. It's better to move a little each day than to overdo it and risk setbacks. As you shape your own routine, consider these guiding principles. Personalization. Work with your healthcare provider or a trained therapist to create a plan just for you. Share your concerns and medical history. They'll help you choose activities that match your abilities and needs. Gradual progression. Start slow and increase your activity in small, manageable steps. Celebrate each milestone, no matter how small it seems. Variety and fun. Mix it up. Try gentle yoga, water aerobics, tai chi, or simple stretching. If you find joy in what you're doing, you'll be more likely to stick with it, listening to your body. Always pay attention to how you feel. If you notice pain, swelling, or shortness of breath, stop and check in with your doctor. Your safety always comes first. Social support. Invite a friend, neighbor, or family member to join you. Not only does it make activity more enjoyable, but it also keeps you motivated and connected. You might wonder, what if I have a setback? What if I miss a day? Remember, recovery isn't a straight line. There will be ups and downs, and that's okay. The key is to stay patient with yourself, adjust your plan as needed, and always focus on progress, not perfection. Let's also acknowledge that setbacks can be emotional, not just physical. You might feel frustrated or discouraged. That's natural. Don't bottle it up. Talk to someone you trust, or join a support group where you can share your story and hear from others who've walked a similar path. Real-life voices, like George's, can remind us that we're not alone and that hope and health are always possible. As we wrap up this segment, take a moment to look ahead. Every choice you make, every bit of gentle movement is an investment in your future independence and joy. With a thoughtful plan, loving support, and a willingness to start small, you're laying the foundation for a stronger, more resilient you. Stay with me for our final segment, where we'll discuss how to stay motivated and celebrate the victories. Big and small on your journey to wellness, your story is still being written, and every day brings a new opportunity to turn hope into action. As we come to the close of this journey together, I want you to pause for a moment and really take stock of how far you've come, not just in physical recovery, but in the wisdom and courage it takes to rebuild your life after a pulmonary embolism. Recovery isn't just about following a list of exercises or swallowing a handful of pills. It's about rediscovering your own resilience, embracing new possibilities, and refusing to let fear be the author of your next chapter. Maybe, like our friend Linda from Michigan, you started out feeling overwhelmed and unsure. Linda spent the first weeks after her pulmonary embolism terrified that every ache or twinge was a sign of trouble. She was afraid to walk alone, worried she'd never get her old life back. But gradually, with the encouragement of her daughter, and the support of her physical therapist, she took her first small steps. Every day, Linda found ways to add just a bit more movement, brushing her own hair, walking to the mailbox, even doing gentle stretches while waiting for the coffee to brew. And with each milestone, she began to believe in herself again. Linda isn't just surviving, she's thriving. And her story is proof that a hopeful future is always within reach. You see, the real power of recovery comes not just from what you do, but from how you see yourself. It's natural to have days when the mountain feels steep or your energy runs low. On those days, remind yourself that every small effort counts. Progress is rarely a straight line, but it is always movement in the right direction. Perhaps you have set yourself a goal, walking a block, gardening for 10 minutes, cooking a favorite meal from scratch. Celebrate these victories, no matter how simple they seem. Each one is a reminder that you're in charge of your story, not your illness. Maybe you'll even find new joys and friendships in the process, neighbors who wave as you stroll by, or a friend from a support group who cheers your successes. Let's not forget the value of sharing what you've learned. If you feel comfortable, tell your story to others just as Linda did, or as George, our gardener from Ohio, did with his grandchildren. When you open up about your journey, you become a beacon of hope for someone else facing the same fears. Community is a powerful medicine, and your courage can inspire others to take their first steps. 2. It's also important to keep asking questions and seeking out information. Stay curious about your own health. Keep talking to your medical team, and don't hesitate to speak up if something feels off. The more you know, the more confident you'll feel, not just in your recovery, but in every decision you make. Remember, too, that life is about more than avoiding setbacks. It's about finding reasons to smile, to laugh, and to savor the ordinary moments that make each day worthwhile. Try to keep a gratitude journal. Write down 3 good things each evening, or simply pause to notice the warmth of the sun or the sound of birds in your yard. These moments of mindfulness don't just lift your mood, they build your resilience for whatever lies ahead. So, as we wrap up, I want you to take this message to heart. No matter your age, your past, or your health challenges, you are never without hope. The fact that you're here, learning, and striving for better is the greatest proof of your strength. Don't underestimate the impact of your efforts on yourself and on those who love you. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey today. If you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend or family member who might need a boost of courage. Subscribe for more practical advice and uplifting stories just like Linda's and George's. Remember, every sunrise brings a new beginning, and you are more resilient than you know. Until next time, take care of yourself, keep moving forward, and celebrate every victory, big or small. You are writing a new chapter of strength, hope, and possibility, and I'm cheering you on every step of the way.